Okay, let's talk about AI. It is everywhere, right? It's the buzzword of the decade, and it seriously feels like it's changing everything overnight. But what is it, really? Today, we're going to cut through all that hype. We're going to understand how this technology actually works, and, more importantly, how you can start using it. All right, let's dive in.
You know, it really all boils down to this one single question. When you're talking to an AI, it feels like you're talking to something that gets you. But is it really intelligent? I mean, in the same way a human is? That's the big mystery we're going to unravel today.
And here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll look at AI's family tree to get the big picture. Then, we'll zoom right into the generative AI that's got everyone so excited. We're going to peek under the hood to see how it actually thinks, learn how to talk to it the right way, and then wrap it all up by showing you how to think of it as your new super tool.
Okay, first things first, let's get our terms straight, because AI isn't just one thing. It's more like a whole family of ideas, each one built on the last. And trust me, understanding how they're all related is the key to unlocking this whole topic.
So at the very top of the family tree, you've got artificial intelligence itself. You can think of AI as the grandparent of the whole family. It's this big, ambitious goal scientists have been chasing for decades, just trying to get a computer to act with human-like intelligence, to learn, to reason, to figure things out on its own.
Now, take one step down and you find machine learning. This isn't the goal, it's a method for reaching that goal. So instead of hand-coding a million rules, you just throw a ton of data at the machine and let it teach itself to find patterns. It's amazing for things like spotting a weird transaction in your bank account, fraud detection.
And if we go even deeper, we hit deep learning. This is basically machine learning on steroids. It uses something called neural networks. And the deep part? That just means there are tons and tons of layers to these networks, which are kind of modeled after our own brains. It makes them incredibly powerful, but also a little mysterious. Sometimes even their creators don't know exactly why they come up with a certain answer.
And this really shows you the journey. AI research has been quietly bubbling away since the 80s, mostly in academia. Then, boom, in the 2010s, machine learning and deep learning hit the scene and things got really interesting. But what happened in the 2020s, this absolute explosion of generative AI, well, that's what sent this whole field to the moon.
So yeah, let's talk about that explosion. This is the stuff that powers tools like ChatGPT, the tech that has completely captured everybody's imagination. It's called generative AI.
So, generative AI, like the name says, generates brand new stuff. It doesn't just analyze, it creates. And the engine behind the most famous tools is a thing called a large language model, or LLM for short. That's the brain that writes the text, makes the images, and even composes music.
Now, this is maybe the best way to think about it. We all know how our phone tries to guess the next word we're about to type, right? Well, an LLM does the exact same thing, but it's like autocomplete on steroids. It's not just thinking one word ahead. It's thinking sentences, paragraphs, maybe even a whole book ahead.
And that leads to this huge debate. Is this AI just remixing stuff it's already seen, or is it actually being creative? I think the best analogy is music, right? There are only so many musical notes, but musicians use them to create an infinite number of new songs. Well, generative AI kind of does the same thing. It uses all the data it was trained on as its notes to compose something totally new.
Okay, so we know what it does, but how in the world does it do it? We're about to pull back the curtain and look at the core engine, and I promise you, it is way simpler and, frankly, way weirder than you probably think.
So here it is, the secret sauce. An LLM has only one job, just one. It looks at a bunch of text and makes a statistical guess about the most likely next token. And a token is just a word or sometimes even just a piece of a word. That's it. That is the entire game.
So how does that simple trick turn into a full essay? Well, think of it like building a train. You give it a prompt. That's the first few cars of the train. The AI looks at that whole train, calculates the most likely next car to add, hooks it on, and then does it all over again, and again, one car, one token at a time, building this long, coherent train of thought.
And this right here, this is the big aha moment. We see a thoughtful answer, and our brain perceives understanding. But what's really happening under the hood is just incredibly complex statistical pattern matching. We see reasoning, but it's just next token prediction. And when it tells a joke that makes you laugh, it's not because it gets humor. It's just learned that after a certain string of words, another particular string of words tends to make humans react like it's funny. Wild, right?
Now, knowing how it works isn't just a cool trivia fact. It's actually the key to getting these tools to work well for you, because once you understand how it thinks, you can learn how to talk to it.
And that understanding explains one of the biggest headaches with AI right now: hallucinations. You've probably heard about this. Why does it sometimes just make things up, stating facts with total confidence that are completely wrong?
Well, here's why. It's not lying. It can't lie. See, to lie, you have to know what the truth is and then choose to say something different. This AI has no concept of truth. It's just following that train of tokens, laying down the next most probable piece of track. And sometimes that statistical path just leads to a destination that sounds really plausible, but is totally made up. So how do we get better answers? You have to be a better train conductor. You have to guide it. Be super specific. Give it tons of context. Tell it to act as an expert historian or a marketing professional. A great trick is telling it to think step by step. That can really improve its answers. And funnily enough, some studies show you might even want to try being polite.
And get this, a recent study found that promising an AI a tip for doing a good job actually makes its answers better. Promising a $200 tip led to an 11% improvement. Now, obviously, it doesn't want money. It's because it was trained on billions of human conversations from the internet where things like tipping are often tied to demands for higher quality service. It's just mimicking the patterns it learned from all of us.
So, after all that, what are we supposed to do with this powerful, kind of strange new technology? Well, the key is to stop thinking of it like a person and start thinking of it like a tool, a super tool.
All right, let's recap the big ideas. AI is the overall field, machine learning is a method to achieve it, and deep learning is a specific technique. The generative AI we're all using is a super powerful prediction engine, not a conscious brain. And because of that, the results you get depend entirely on how you talk to it. The real magic isn't waiting for some sci-fi future. It's using these tools right now to make yourself more creative and productive.
And that really brings us to the final and most important point. This technology is a massive amplifier for human ability. It's not here to replace you, it's here to augment you. So the only real question left is the one right there on your screen. Now that you know how it really works, what are you going to build with it? Thanks so much for joining me.